Welcome to Senior Strategies. I am your host, Amy Decker, Director of Client Services for Senior Helpers. We are so glad that you were able to join us today for lively conversations with guests that can offer you the tools, strategies, and support so that you can successfully stay on your journey as a caregiver. We hope that you enjoy yourself and find just what you needed to get you through today. Hi, welcome to Senior Strategies. I am Amy Decker, Director of Client Services with Senior Helpers, and I'm really excited to have a dear friend of mine that I've known for many years, Andraya Brennan, and she is the CEO and founder of a wonderful organization called iMatter Adult Daycare. And I just am excited to have her on because she's got a giant heart and she's got so many great ideas and things to do with your loved ones so that you can get the respite that you deserve. So thank you and welcome to our show, Andraya.
Thank you so much for having me, Miss Amy Decker. It's always a pleasure to see you. Always.
And you too.
Even virtually.
Even virtually. That's right. But I think what you do is so great. And I think there's so many misconceptions about what adult daycare is all about. And who qualifies, who doesn't qualify, who does the transportation, how is it paid for, when do I know it's time to do it, how do I not feel guilty dropping my loved one off there. So how did you get into this industry? How'd you start?
I was actually in the healthcare industry before I opened iMatter. Well, my dad and I opened iMatter. And my mother fell ill in 2009. She suffered from a hemorrhagic stroke and a heart attack about 2 days apart from one another.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, so that was already a situation that kind of flipped our world upside down to begin with. Prior to that, though, I staffed for a traveling company. I staffed traveling nurses all over the country. I also worked for Vitas Hospice. So I was a consultant for them. And that was really the push for me to start doing some more care for families, like to consult with more families, because I realized, there's so many misinformed and uninformed families. And that's really what was the driving force for me. And my mother, before she passed away, she told me, she's like, whatever the need is, Andraya, figure out a way to fill it. And so she was always this creative woman, very brilliant. And that stuck with me. I mean, it really resonated with me. And I sat down with my dad and pretty much said to him, listen, I have this idea. I want to open up an adult day center and provide care to clients that are in the early to moderate stages, because what I'm seeing as I'm spending time with families is there are a ton of caregivers that really just need a break. They need respite versus being willing or ready to place. And for those of us that are familiar with Alzheimer's dementia, we know that there are many stages that a person goes through as it relates to this disease. For many, they go with the 5 stages, right? And the first, I would say stages 1 through 3 are kind of like a pleasantly confused arena.
Right.
And then our loved ones, unfortunately, they tend to become more on the moderate to severe side, right? So for me, it was kind of finding a niche for those that were in the earlier to moderate stages where they could be pleasantly confused in one space, but a space that was safe.
Right.
And so that was the driving force behind creating iMatter and making sure that those adults that were diagnosed with Alzheimer's or any kind of neurocognitive impairment had a place where they could still be engaged with, still participate in activities, still be able to say yes or no.
Right.
And
make friends.
Yes, and make friends,
right?
Right. Yes, absolutely. So that is why iMatter was created, and we have been thriving and flourishing. That's our big word for today.
Love it.
Since 2016 already. It's been 8 years already. I cannot believe it.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yes.
And I think it's awesome. Great. I was even looking at your website, which is, you've got so many great activities and so many reasons why people should take advantage of this, that we were talking earlier, it's a dual purpose. It's giving
Mhm.
somebody respite that they need. And it's
Correct.
also giving that loved one, like you said, activities. It's doing something with their brain. They're making friends.
Absolutely.
They're having fun. So, like you say, there's that little, you have to figure out the little perfect spot where they are with their cognitive issues. Because if
Absolutely.
they get, yeah,
And that's what I was going to piggyback off of a comment that you made. So with a lot of caregivers are not sure when the right time is to
mhm,
make that call to say, you know what, I could use a little bit of respite. I want to continue on this journey of caregiving, but because many of us as family caregivers are selfless, we don't tend to put our needs at the forefront, right? So
absolutely.
of course, that is where we do tend to suffer from caregiver burnout. But a client that would typically come to a place like iMatter um, is pleasantly confused. They are, which means that they're aging in place wherever their home may be. That could be in assisted living, it could be in their own home, but there is a little bit of doubt as to whether or not they would be safe at home on their own, right?
Right,
Where if there is any kind of inclination that they may be at risk for wandering, right?
right.
Or possibly using a pot and turning the stove off and turning the stove on and forgetting to turn it
Mhm,
off,
mhm.
then considering something like an adult day center would absolutely be to the benefit of that caregiver. Some of our clients are, maybe they're newer on the newer side of being diagnosed. They just may have gone to a neurologist, and that neurologist confirmed that this is where we are. And instead of kind of weeping and staying in this low place, let's look at other solutions
Right,
as to bringing them some respite, bringing the
right.
caregiver respite, and having the client be cognitively and socially stimulated. So that's how many of our clients end up at iMatter, by
Mhm.
way of a neurologist, by way of a geriatric care manager, by
Uh-huh.
way of people like you, Amy,
Mhm.
that have identified families that could use our services. And we actually work for the caregiver and the client. So that's what makes us pretty cool. We actually care about both parties
And that's
instead
the
of
best
just
part because,
one.
well, and both parties are completely involved between the
Right.
caregiver and the person that they're caring for. So, like you
Mhm.
say, if there's an early diagnosis, instead of going down that road of sadness, like you said, give them, this is a
Mhm.
new journey now. There's just a different journey. You're going to go in a different direction, but we're going to make it a positive one for you.
Absolutely.
And then how are your hours set up? So they'll come during the day. I mean, is it something that they could use? Are you there on the weekends? Are you there in the
So
evenings?
we're actually open. We're open Monday through Friday, and
Okay.
because we are family owned and operated, we have unfortunately a lot of adult children that are caring for their parents,
Right.
and they're working. So our hours are 9 to 5, but there is some flexibility, excuse me, on both ends
Hmm.
for our adult children or just family caregivers that may still be in the workforce. So
Right.
9 to 5 are our hours, Monday through Friday. As of August the 17th, we actually are rolling out iMatter Saturdays again. It's coming back. We took a
Oh,
little break for the summer, but we'll
yeah,
be back to operating on twice a month on Saturdays, just to break up the
sure.
weekend. And those hours will be 10 to 4. And here's the cool thing about it, because we know that this journey is very complex and we know a lot of caregivers could use the break.
Right.
You can actually bring your loved one to iMatter and register them just for Saturdays. So you don't
Oh,
have to commit to being with us during the week, but if the
uh-huh.
weekend is where you find yourself needing the break, then
Hmm.
that's what we would be to the rescue for, to say the
That's
least.
great. And not only can they bring them to you, but
Yes.
there's also they can qualify for transportation if they're not able to drop them
Yes,
off and pick
that
them
is
up.
that is correct.
Yeah.
We have private transportation. We also do work very closely with the Palm Tran,
Great.
which does door-to-door service.
Nice.
Sometimes that trip can be $3.50 to $0. It
Right.
just depends on the dynamics of the family, but we do help along the way with that.
I
I
think
know
that's great. The
I think so
transportation
too.
part is good because I bet just the part, like I even not not evening out to be the same thing, but I know when I would even drop my kids off to go to school or drop them off, it was that separation and saying goodbye that was so difficult for them that if
Oh,
somebody
yes.
else took them, you didn't have to deal with that. So even with the one that you love, it might be better for them to say the bus is here, you're going to go do some, or you're going to go to work now. Then it's part of they woke up with the purpose. Their purpose is to come to you and
Exactly.
get them there.
And you said something that is, it hit the nail on the head for me. You said, okay, it's time for you to go to work now,
Yeah,
right? Because we're dealing with a population that's still, they're still pretty lucid in that
right,
most of them can still say, I used to have a job,
right.
for many of our clients, they may have retired even within the last 10 years. And
Mhm.
that's still for them, that's a newer feeling, right?
Right.
So we do have clients that are at work at iMatter, and
Yeah.
we have volunteers at iMatter that are still receiving the exact same benefits.
Uh-huh.
However, in their minds, it's a little bit less threatening for them to
To think they're
know
an
that they're coming
assistant.
to help us
Right.
versus
I
coming
love
as a
that.
client. Yes,
I love that. And I don't care male or female, since we were very little, we woke up with the purpose. As we grew older,
absolutely.
whatever that purpose was, it changed, whether it was to get a car, get a job, get married, whatever it was. And as you get
Do
older,
a
so
baby
many of
doll's
those
hair.
things, what's that?
I said to be a hairstylist to
To be a
a
hairstylist.
right.
Yeah. And you know what? As they get older, so many of those purposes drop off. And then
Correct.
they wake up, they don't have a purpose anymore. So you're giving so many of them a purpose to say, you're going to go to work today and you're going to be
That's
my
right.
assistant. And I love that. So
Thank
how
you.
how is it paid for?
So we actually take a number of sources of payment. Private pay, of course, is always number one. We do work with all long-term care providers.
Great,
So if someone is in need of, that help with that process for, starting the claim, getting their number, the policy number, all of those things, we are here to and available to assist with that. We
great,
also have we have contracts with two of the Medicaid providers here, and that is with Humana and Florida Community Care. So
wonderful.
that is pretty easy in that once the care manager or their case manager, I should say, gets involved and they send us an authorization for the client to attend, that's a really quick start. That's what
Great.
that means for those who do have Medicaid long-term care.
And then do you base, when you really do have assistants or people that come in and assist you, do you base that
Mhm.
on the number of attendees that you have each day, or how does that work?
Yes, so we typically have a base staff, but then of course, as we need to, we do pull in PRN
Yeah,
aides. We're it's the summer, so I'm certain the summers get a little bit on the quieter side.
lean. Yeah,
Um,
very
but
lean.
long story short, once we do hit season, we're typically around the 9 to 10 CNAs that are in-house,
Nice.
providing care to the clients.
That's great. All right,
Yes.
so walk me through a day
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna
or
use
a
one
week.
of my
Yeah.
yes, I'm gonna use one of my iMatter favorites. His name is Lou. So Lou has been with us for almost 6 years already. I can't even believe it.
Aw,
So typically when Lou gets dropped off, he comes in and he will have coffee or tea, depends on what his favorite drink is, his favorite beverage is. That is pretty much how we start the day for our really early risers.
mhm,
And then around 10, 10:30, we start doing brain games. We give the clients some time for their minds to really wake up
right.
because, sometimes you can have a little brain fog in the morning. That's okay. It
Yeah, and if
happens,
they're on any
right?
kind of medications, even that medications will cause you to
Exactly,
be foggy.
exactly. So
Right.
we like to consider that, right?
Good.
Sometimes we start with the news. Every day is different as far as schedule goes, just because we don't want it to become redundant.
Right.
Although for many of our clients, they don't remember, but we still do, right?
Right.
So a client would start with brain games around 10 to 10:30. At 11:30, we have exercise. We have chair exercise that's
Aw,
standing. You can stand or you can sit. We move in, I'm sorry, we transition from that to lunch. From there, we typically do brain games for a little bit, and then we usually have an entertainer.
oh,
We
cute.
have an amazing, amazing list of entertainers that we work with
Aw.
from all different walks of life. We just started one singer. She sings in 21 different languages, which
Oh
is
my goodness.
insane. Yes.
Wow.
So from there, after entertainment, depending on what day it is, we may have a painting class. We
Nice.
may play blackjack. We may do volleyball or indoor golf. Um, we're very hands-on,
I
and so
love
for
it.
us, activities we know keeps the mind busy and at work.
Right.
So there may be two activities running at once,
Right.
so that the clients do still have the option of saying, I'm not really in the mood to play basketball. I'd rather do
Paint.
a craft,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that's the kind of experience that one would have if they were to come to us. After that, we always give the clients a snack. And then we move into another activity, whether it's a brain game or a group
Mhm.
activity. And then everyone starts leaving around 4:15, 4:30, but
Mhm.
we're still open and functioning until 5 or the last person leaves.
Mhm.
But it's a fun place.
It
I
is, and you sent me actually some great pictures, so I want to make sure
Thank you.
all of you viewers and listeners that you go to the Senior Strategies Facebook page and the Instagram too, because I'm going to post pictures of all the activities and the things that they do, because I think that's what's so important. And not only do they have a purpose to go there, but they're creating something. They're
They
doing
are.
something that they're proud of. So if they're making something that they can bring home, or you're giving them a job to do, it's making making them feel better about themselves.
Absolutely. And who doesn't want to feel rewarded
I
at
know,
the end of the day?
right?
A lot of our adults that are aging, that's what they are grieving the loss of independence, and
Yes.
they're grieving not having the ability to recall things. And
Mhm.
so for me, it's like if we can create this space that just
Is
makes them
positive,
feel good. They may not
right?
remember every single thing that they did, but they remember how
How
they
they feel,
feel.
right?
Then we're already on the right track as far
Right.
as providing care to them.
And you are so true with that, because I have a couple of support groups where I talk to the caregivers of these that are probably dropping them off the respite with you and then coming to me for the support. But that's what
Right.
they'll say is, like, my husband didn't know my kids today. My husband didn't recognize his brother that was there. And I've said to them, it's not always that they remember who you are or who that person is, but they remember how that person made them feel. So they may
And that's
love looking
important.
at you. And same for you. They probably see you and you make them feel good. So they love
Yes.
you because of the way you're making them feel. I think that's wonderful.
Yes, and I hope that it stays like that forever because
Yeah.
they are probably just as much of a blessing to me
Aw.
as they may see me as to them. So as long as we're still helping, then we're on the right path as far as I'm concerned.
And you have an added bonus because you have two beautiful children that you've had since you started that get to go in and hang out with them.
The
It
you're
may not be
talking
an added bonus to you, but for them, for seniors, just love kids. Well, some do,
They
some don't.
do.
I bring
They
baby
do.
dolls into memory care sometimes, and some love them and want to hold them. Mothers like, forget it, I've done my time. I don't
Right. No kids allowed, right?
No kids allowed.
Well,
But your
I do
kids come in and get
remember.
to enjoy them. I think it's great.
Absolutely, yes. And you know what? I remember when you brought babies to iMatter.
Yep.
And I know that there were at least 5 ladies that just they
Love
were
them.
smitten. They were in
Yes.
love. And although the dolls were not real, it was still more about the feeling
Yes.
versus these are not real dolls, right? I don't
Yes.
think there were, I mean, maybe some of our guys or really higher functioning clients may
Right.
have said something, but I think it was more about the moment and
And how
just
it
being
made
able
them
to just
feel.
cradle a small baby
A
that made them
baby.
feel so
Yeah.
good.
And even now, when I go into some of the memory cares, they'll still go in and out. They'll hold the baby and talk to it, and then they'll go, this is the
Wait,
baby doll, right? This is the
right,
baby doll. And then they'll go back into talking to it again. But you've got
right.
real babies that you get to bring in. And I think it's good. I think it's good for your
Yes,
kids
it
to,
is.
to
It is.
interact with seniors. And I think it's great for the seniors to be there for your kids.
I couldn't agree with you more, Amy. So my kids they've pretty much grown up in iMatter.
Yeah.
My son is now 5, and I will also do a little small plug for the experience that he's had. I think that him spending time with my clients really helped him adapt to being in a social setting with more children.
Oh,
Um, although my clients are much older, he still got used to that setting,
right.
and the time that he spent with many of the clients in there, whether it was just sitting and just cuddling with them, or
Aw.
reading a book to him, or them helping him paint, I know that that was all valuable to him,
Oh,
because my
absolutely.
kids call my place work for them. That's
Aw.
how they feel. And
You're going to
one of
work.
them, the client thinks that my daughter is her granddaughter. So we're
Oh,
like, you know what? It's not broken. We don't have to fix it.
right.
She makes her happy when she sees her, so that's fine, you
So
know?
cute. I love that. Because
Yes,
not
thank
many
you.
offer that. So the fact that you get to offer that, that really is a bonus.
Oh,
And
yes,
one
it
other
is.
thing, so I was going to ask you too. So meals, do they
Uh-huh.
bring their own meals? Do you have a kitchen where
They
you
can
provide the meals? How does that work? Do you have
do.
a menu to pick from, or
Yes.
let
So
them know
we
what the meals
actually,
are for the week?
because we're regulated by the Agency for Healthcare Administration, we actually have to contract with a caterer,
Oh,
that is licensed, and of course they've done their checks and balances with the Department of Elder Affairs.
mhm.
So our caterer brings hot meals to us every day.
Great.
And we have to take the temperature of that food before we administer it to the clients. We are serve safe managers and food handlers. So in our case, we don't prepare any food at iMatter. I think that would be a disaster.
I know, because I was thinking about that when you said you were bringing them breakfast. I'm like, oh my goodness, is
Oh,
there a kitchen in there? Ay, ay, ay.
definitely not. Definitely not.
No, no.
So
So that's a
everything
huge
everything
bonus.
is prepared.
Yeah.
We select a menu with the chef biweekly, and they serve the clients anything. I mean, it's a great variation of things, but all still healthy, very
Yeah.
low in sodium, pretty much still hit all of the food groups. But I will tell you, we do have pizza parties too, right?
Oh,
Because
abs.
why
You
not?
gotta.
Right?
You
Who
have
doesn't have
to.
pizza parties? We have taco parties. We
Yeah.
have barbecue, right? But
Aw.
it's all in moderation, because we
Right.
still want to honor the wishes of our caregivers and keep
Sure.
our clients, as healthy as possible.
Right. Right.
Some of them do eat more with us than they do at home,
I bet.
but
I bet.
yeah,
Well, the
but
environment is just different. With
it
you, it's
is.
just a totally different environment than when they're at home with their spouse breathing down their neck. Did you put salt on that? Are you eating sugar again? It's like you, and like you said, you're watching to make sure they're still eating healthy, but
Yes.
the happy environment there. And I'm sure you've got days. I'm sure there's days that, I know, again, going into memory care with the babies, I can tell the minute I walk in, someone has set that room off in a negative,
Oh yeah.
and now I got to figure out how to reel that back in
To
again.
pull it back in.
And
Yes.
who to say, let's go in the other room with that one because that one's setting the rest of the group off. And those with cognitive issues will do that. They get very distracted if something's going on that's negative. And with
Yeah,
the amount
we've
that you have, what do you do?
So we have had, it doesn't happen very often, but one of the things we do to avoid that is we actually pair the clients with more, closely aligned other clients, I would
Yeah.
say.
Oh,
Right.
smart.
So we don't have too many triggers happening, but on occasion, like I'll give you an example of a situation. A little bit, this was a few years ago, we had a former podiatrist with us, and he actually had FTD. So his behaviors were on display.
Mhm.
So initially we thought we could manage because he was doing great,
Yeah.
but as he declined in the illness, he became more aggressive.
Oh,
So he started to trigger. He was starting to display a little bit of violence, and that would actually be one of the reasons why I would have to discharge someone
right.
if they are a possible threat to themselves or
Sure.
others, right?
Sure.
So he actually like kicked down the door. He thought he saw his wife, but it wasn't his wife. It was
Oh,
another vehicle that looked similar. And so, of course, when someone is fixed on that being the answer, we typically don't tell them no, right? And
Right.
telling him no was not really going to give us the
Right.
result we were looking for
Mhm.
anyways. So to this is a great piece, to a great response anyways, so that people know like the kind of clients we cater to. Again, we stay on the pleasantly confused side. We
Right.
can handle clients that are starting to have some incontinence issues. That's still okay. But again, when it's a matter of them possibly harming themselves or
Right.
harming others, or maybe they're incredibly disruptive to the group as a whole, then
Yeah.
of course we have to look at the greater good, right?
Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
I've never been the type to say, well, we just have to kick them out today, right?
Give them a few
Or
chances.
if another situation that has happened, some clients get to a place where they feel like they've got to exit, they become wanderers,
Right.
right? Those are the kind of clients that we start kind of having more tough conversations and saying, we have to bring in some other reinforcements,
Yeah.
possibly look at a change of medication. Maybe we look at a step up, which may mean bringing an aide in 1-to-1,
Right.
or maybe they've just aged out of our place,
Right.
which happens.
I'm
But we always
sure.
try to give resources. We always
Yeah.
try to give resources.
Because you're dealing with, I mean, I know a UTI can send somebody over the edge. A UTI can make them
Absolutely. And it
combative and
has.
confused and mean and horrible. Then you've got sundowning. So if you've got them from the morning till the afternoon, you could have a whole gaggle of them heading into sundowning at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Listen,
Often you can,
don't let there be a full moon.
oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And
You
like I
know.
said, and then it's contagious. So if somebody's sundowning and aggravated and agitated, and so a lot of times if it's a UTI, that can be fixed. If it is a sundowning situation or they are wanting to elope, that can medications can help that too. But I'm sure with
Yes.
you, you're always on pins and needles, just making sure everything's going great and the fauna and flora is smooth.
Right. Yes. And
Yeah.
of course we do. Like any other place, we
Right.
have our own ebbs and flows. Typically, as I mentioned, most of the clients are paired off with other like-minded or
Smart.
closely aligned clients.
Hmm.
So they've got their own little groups. We don't really do cliques. We try to stay away from that at all costs. But of course, you can't help who you gravitate towards,
Right.
right?
Right.
Human connection is what it is. And so if they're like, we have a table, we call them the troublemakers, and those that they laugh. If you come into the place early in the morning, they all arrive, like they're there right around 8:45, 9 o'clock,
Aw,
and they're having their coffee and tea or hot chocolate, and they're just laughing. I don't know what they're laughing about, and I really don't care.
they're
I just
happy.
I love the fact that they're happy,
Right.
and they could be saying the same thing to each other every 2 minutes,
Right.
honestly, right?
But they're
Could be
enjoying
30
it.
seconds. But it's more about their experience and how they feel as normal and healthy and whole as anyone else, as you
Love
are
it.
you or myself.
I
And
love
that's
it.
that's what's more important for me.
I think that's so wonderful. So if somebody wanted to look into your services, what's your website? Or how
So
do they
our
get in
web
touch with you?
I'll actually give two great ways to learn more about us. First, of course, our website, which is www.imatter, imatter, adc.com. And then the other option would always be to go on Facebook. If you're an active Facebook user, we have a very active page. We post on it all the time, and you really get to see a nice version of our clients. They're either dancing or participating in different activities, shooting pool. So that gives a really nice picture to a family, even if they're at a distance of what we're doing. And then
Love
of
it.
course we always go for just calling us, the standard calling, and getting some more information. And we welcome people to try us before they buy us.
Oh,
And
nice.
so we offer a trial day to any possible client and
Oh,
family, so
that's
that they can
great.
see if we're the right fit, and we can
Yeah,
see the same. Yeah,
that's
so
great
it's just a
because
matter of one phone
it,
call away.
right. And you're right. It may not, you just never know. They could get in there and the chemistry's not there for them. And if they've already signed up, then so that's great that you give a little freebie time,
Yes,
give them a
yes.
chance to see if it
And
works.
it's absolutely, and it's even better when we get to talk to the families, because based on what the needs are of the client, like let's say that Mr. Joe just got a diagnosis, I imagine he's going to say, I don't need an adult day center. I would never. Why?
Right.
Right? So the less, I would say, to get Mr. Joe into, to buy into this idea, we're going to talk to Mr. Joe about volunteering as an ambassador
Perfect.
versus telling him, oh, Joe, I'm going to take you to a day center.
Right.
Most people fear being dropped off and not being picked back up.
Oh my goodness, yes. I get
You
it.
know this. You already know
Yes.
this.
And the fact that they're not only being dropped off, they're being locked in.
Yes,
So to
and
think that,
that's what
yes.
they're so afraid of. And
Uh-huh.
so and it's not, this is definitely not a knock or jab to any communities. I'm all for assisted living when that time has come or when
Yeah.
it's just appropriate.
Mhm.
But for those that are earlier to moderate, that still have the ability to manage their activities of daily living, but it's just a matter of their caregiver being able to take a little bit of a break and take care of their own personal needs, or
Yeah.
even if it's just to rest,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Then
that's what I
we
said. They don't even have to be productive. They might want to drop them off and go home and take a nap and get in bed.
Yes, and that is okay as a
Right.
caregiver to be able to maybe just take a nice long shower,
Yes.
read a book, take a nap, right?
Right.
That
Right.
and for so many caregivers, they can't even imagine what that looks like or
Feeling
what
is.
that feels like. So if we can kind of, come in and become an extended part of their village,
Mhm.
then we welcome families
I love
to
that.
participate and have their loved ones be in our care.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I
I think
love it
it's
too,
great.
Amy.
I love what you do. I've always loved your center. I've loved, just your whole concept of it. And I was so
Thank you.
excited to be able to have you on the show finally. I think I've been trying this for about a
Yes,
year, since
yes.
last
This is
May or
yes.
the
It
May
was a
before that, maybe.
long time, long time coming, but we are here.
Yep.
And I want you to come and dance with us too. You have to. I'm going to send you our calendar for next month,
I would
so
love
you can
to.
come and dance with us.
I'll come and dance
You
and I'll
will
bring the
have a
babies.
ball.
Yeah.
And you can, and with my children, because both of them love music. They're
Good.
probably big fans of music because of iMatter.
I love it. Well, thank you
Thank you,
again.
Amy.
Thank you so much. We enjoy all that you do, and kudos for making a difference in so many people's days every single day.
It is
Thank
my
you again for
pleasure,
being
and
on the
as
show.
long as life allows it, we'll be here until the wheels fall off.
That's right.
So
All
thank
right.
you, Amy. You
Thank you,
have a
Andrea.
wonderful, wonderful day. And if anyone does want any additional information, our office number is 561-777-7492. We look
Great.
forward to hearing from you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for watching our show. We hope that you found an answer to a question or a resource that can assist you. Our goal is to keep all of you that are caregivers informed, refreshed, and heard. We're here for you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions. We have all the resources that you'll need. Please follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages for the up-and-coming shows and events and support groups. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your support.